Then we're going to talk about dividing, and we're going to talk about 3 digits divided by 1 digit. Now, some of your answers can be kind of long. I'm going to do 2 problems. One's going to be with remainders, and one's going to be without remainders, so you can see the difference between the two. So let's say we have the problem 638 divided by 4. Your first number, which is your dividend, is going to go inside the house. And your second number, which is your divisor, is going to go outside the house, because you're seeing how many times can 4 go into 638. So I'm going to start with so how many times, I'm always going to put an X right there, or a multiplication sign. So how many times can 4 go into 638? I got to start with my biggest place value. How many times can 4 go into 6 without going over? Well, 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8's too big, so it can go in there 1 time. Well, what is 1 times 4? 1 times 4 is 4. You subtract those, and you get a 2. So I don't have enough hundreds for everybody to have another set of hundreds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down my tens. And instead of saying 2 hundreds, now let's say 23 tens. If I have 4 people and 23 tens, how many tens can each person get? Same thing, skip count by 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. 24 is too big. So 4 times 5 is 20. I subtract 3, and I bring down my 8. So instead of saying, okay, if I have 3 tens and 4 people, how much can you get? Which there's not enough tens to go around. Bring down your 8 and say, okay, now I have 38 ones. How much can each person get? Skip count by 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. 40 is too much. So 9 times 4 is 36, and I subtract, and I get 2. And if I look down here, I have a 2, and I don't have any other numbers to bring down. So what that's saying is I would have a remainder of 2 because I have 2 left over. Now, some problems in the real world, you're going to have remainders, and some problems you're going to have without remainders. Now, let's kind of give an example. Let's say I had 638 tires, and every car needs 4 tires, so how many cars or sets of cars will get 4 tires? Well, 159, because a car with less than 4 tires is not going to do you a whole lot of good, so you would have a remainder of 2 tires left over. You wouldn't break apart those 2 tires into something smaller. There's no reason. But let's say we had $355 and you had 4 people. Well, then maybe you could break it apart. Once again, your first number, which is your dividend, is going to go inside the house. And your divisor, which is your second number, is going to go outside the house. So this is saying you have $355 and you have 4 people. How much money can each person get? Well, if I look at my hundreds, 4 can't go into 3. So it's saying if I have $300 bills and I have 4 people, we don't have enough money for each person to get a $100 bill. But if I was to change that into $300 bills into 35 $10 bills, okay, well now I could do that. How many $10 bills would each person get if there's 35? Well, 4 can go into 35 8 times without going over. Okay, well what is 8 times 4? That's 32. I subtract. I bring down my 3. I don't have enough 10s for everybody. But if I bring down this 5, I'll have enough 1s for everybody. So how many times can 4 go into 35 ones? Well, it can go in there, just like we already did, 8 times. 8 times 4 is 32. And I have our leftovers 3. You say, well, I don't just want to leave this $3, like, for nobody. I want to break it apart. You say, well, you don't have anything else you could break it down into. And I say, well, you kind of do. If I have 0 dimes and I bring it down, I'm changing that $3 into 30 dimes. Now, if I put a decimal down here, I need to put a decimal up here. So how many dimes can everybody get? If I skip count by 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. 32 is too much, so that means that everybody can get 7 dimes. 7 times 4 is 28. And I subtract, and I'm left with 2. And you say, okay, well, I have two dimes left over. No, I can break my dime into 20 pennies. So how many pennies would each person get? I extend this little line, which is okay. Well, 7 times 4, what's something? Not 7 times 4. 4 can go into 20 how many times? Oh, that works out perfectly. It can go in there 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. I have nothing left over. There's no remainders because I'm already committing to my decimals. So I get my final answer of each person would get $88.75. So that's a good example of why you might break down this into like smaller terms of money. And if I'm thinking about this with tires, I wouldn't break apart my 2 leftover tires in anything. So that's a good example of a remainder problem. So whenever you're dividing a 3-digit by a 1-digit number, remember your first number, your dividend, is going to go inside the house. Your divisor, which is your second number, will go outside the house. And then your quotient, which is your answer, is going to be found on the top. Thanks for staying with me. Don't forget to subscribe and like and all.